it's that regulation, because as soon as you're not conscious, that's when, like I'm saying, every day radio, every day this album, every day my Spotify playlist that I play 24/7 because I'm afraid to listen to my own voice because I'm just constant. But yeah, quote what Ali likes to say, that dopamine button, it's kind of just, you just love to get consumed by it. You're eating too much and you'll become what you eat eventually. Welcome back to the Prometheus Podcast, Japan edition, joined with Hendry, as always.
Yeah, as always.
How you doing?
I'm doing alright. Pretty tired from all the walking and just kind
the
of
shooting and the content.
mentally drained as well, but hey, let's do this.
Yeah, that's it. Run never stops. I think a real juicy thing we can jump into is the whole concept of you are what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not talking you turn into a cake if you eat cake. I'm talking.
Damn it.
I wish. I'm talking. Hang on. The content that we're consuming day in, day out, it makes us who we are.
Yeah.
No matter how much. Like I think, unless you're running away into the mountains and you're being a monk and you're kind of channeling so much internal goodness, you're channeling so much internal energy, so much internal thoughts that you can battle kind of the outside stuff. Unless you're doing that day in, day out, then good on you. But I truly believe that you can't battle all of that. So there's a huge part of your identity that comes in from consumption.
Yep. And
we've slightly covered it here and there, but I think it's an interesting topic because you are what you eat. So the music you're consuming, if you're listening to, let's say, artists who promote violence, promote kind of certain things, whether it's kind of disregarding females, whether it's kind of partying, drinking. We know that there's a big kind of culture around that party music nowadays. So it's, well, if I'm listening to that day in, day out, how do I expect I'm going to act? Mm-hmm. If I'm always listening to people saying all these crazy stuff, terrible words, terrible actions, it's sooner or later gonna manifest one way or another. If I'm looking at all these kind of role models and all they're doing is promoting terrible stuff, promoting materialistic stuff, I'm always following stuff. My Instagram's filled with people who are buying the kicks, buying the new whips. It's all about the chains, the glamour, the Instagram life, the filters, blah 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 blah. Then hang on, I am what I eat, so sooner or later that's going to show. And I think it seriously should be like a topic in school or something, because it builds so much of that image. What are your thoughts with consumption and how it molds into your personality and that whole statement that you are what you eat?
So are you going to kind of stick to music and kind of like the entertainment world, or kind of like just kind of freestyle and go for it?
Jump into anything.
Well, I guess, music is super important. Or even like podcasts or etc. like is really, really important into how your mindset is. And social media. So I'll kind of like dive as much as I can into like these three, because I feel like they're pretty connected in a sense. Yeah. So in terms of like the music industry, like now, like the new hits is all about kind of like the glamour lifestyle, or like out here, but you still do have like necessarily some good songs here and there where they do promote like the good music. But majority of people, I'd say, kind of listen to the whole new genre of kind of party music, I guess, to kind of sum it up, depending on how you want to group it.
I'll say party music.
But I really do think that these artists or these people kind of don't know what they're really doing in terms of how it impacts the younger generation's mind. At the time, it sounds really cool to say it, or it sounds amazing on the song, like it's a pretty dope track. Yeah. But the mentality impact on others kind of is detrimental, and I feel like also when it leads to their social media life and they're like, private jet to this country, like look at me, I bought this bag, or I bought this new rollie, or kind of like new cars and stuff. The kids are like, yo, I want that lifestyle, like how do I get that lifestyle? But then they think it's like all about what's in the music. So
it's all about the drugs, the money, the this, that. You gotta act like this,
and to get that lifestyle. And that's why I feel like social media and the music genre is so connected in a sense to, and so harmful to the kids' minds, because kids are like, yo, I like that. That's a sick lifestyle. I want that lifestyle. But then they're like, how do I do that? And it's like, oh, I need that quick, and I need that like instant kind of gratification for that lifestyle. So they all go out, they do all these things that kind of these rappers kind of say they do, or artists say they do, but they don't really do it. And then it kind of leads kids into a really detrimental path in the future.
Yeah, the glorified Instagram rappers, quoted by Russ. But yeah, I think it's huge, because like you're saying, whether they know or maybe they do know, some of them might know and they don't care because they're cutting a check. So why would you, when you're the one flying the jets? So you know, at the end of the day, some people think, well, who cares kind of what the audience is consuming, as long as I'm cutting my check and I'm taking care of my family. So I think whether they're conscious of it or unconscious of it, the artist, of course that doesn't matter, because what is happening matters, and that's what we need to address. And that's, well, what are you listening to? You said it, your podcast and music. I want you to really think about what you're listening to and consuming, what you're eating day in, day out, because that is gonna either turn you into something that you're listening to, whether, like you're saying, partying, this, have this mindset, even perform, act, be a certain way, or it's going to help you in other aspects. If you're listening to music that are feel good music, that are trying to promote positivity, that whatever reason, there's 1,000 different music genres out there that all kind of make people feel a certain way. And that's the beauty of music, because music's been around for lifetimes. So, and the whole point of it is to obviously make kind of people feel a certain way. But if you look at some music and some genres, it's only designed to make you feel wanting to go out partying, to go to that nightclub, to go to that rave where it's all buzzing lights and this crazy music, so you can kind of get loose and forget your problems. But then the conversation is, like I'm saying, well, what are you consuming? Because you really have to start listing it. Even you have to be conscious of it, because regardless if they want it to have this impact or not, it's having this impact in your life. And whether you're abusing too much music, too much voices, too much opinions, you're going to lose yourself eventually. And I think young people, they have that disconnect. All they do is operate in music, all they do is operate in TV shows. So sooner or later it's like, well, hang on, that is going to be detrimental to you, because for one, you don't even know who you are. You're just kind of lost in this whole sphere of partying. You're lost in this whole sphere of acting a certain way, this whole sphere of, hang on, you want this Lamborghini, you want, to date these European women, or whatever the way it's portraying. So it needs to be addressed, because you don't know what you don't know. And if all you consume is what is being fed to you, then, like I'm saying, you are what you eat. So you're going to turn into a cake eventually.
I guess there is kind of like, I look at it as two ways. Kind of two ways. So the first way is kind of like the person who's insecure about themselves, and that's mainly the younger generation. Kind of like you're growing up, you're identifying, or you're not identifying, you're kind of figuring out who you are, really. And so if you're consuming like all these contents of like people kind of promoting a lifestyle that isn't healthy, or you're watching like things that aren't good for you, or kind of like listening to others who like inner circles, really like friends and all that, then it's going to impact how you act. And kind of like the outside noise becomes your inner noise, and it just kind of, it falls out from there, because you don't really know what's true to yourself, because you don't know what your true voice is. And then I think there's the second spectrum where you know yourself, right, and you listen to all these contents, but you're still letting it impact you, because you're not fully aware of how the content you consume works with your mind's kind of cogs and all that.
Well, that's it, because you don't, like, a lot of people, again, you just think it's natural. If we're moving away from just kind of the kid in the bedroom bumping their head to the music, a lot of people just think driving to work or going to school or something like that, that the norm is to just listen to the radio, for example. So that's a prime music source. That's a prime media source. So if you're consuming that, kind of the average person might not be conscious about, like you're saying, what impact that has on the cogs going in on your brain. Because if you just think that is normal, you're always fed that. You kind of have that drop feed of content streaming through your blood, and for you, that's life. For you, nothing's different. For you drive to work in the morning, so you put the music on.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the music is, it could be a different tracks, it could be anything like that, but you are listening to that, and you don't understand, well, hang on, when you address people in a certain way, you could be using that language. When you present yourself at a work function, how you treat your friends, how you treat your partner, it could actually mold into what you're eating. It could be mold into what you're actually listening to.
And I guess not necessarily saying you can't listen to all these things if you enjoy this type of music, if you enjoy this person, but you need to be conscious of how it impacts your mind. And consciousness is the key here. 100%. It's the key to, if you want to listen to all these Instagram rappers and kind of promoting the lifestyle, then you need to be conscious to not let that impact how you go about your day-to-day life. And if you're conscious about things, then you can do, if you're conscious about things, then you know what you want in your life then. So that way the outside noise doesn't become your inner noise.
100%, because like you're saying, that consciousness is key, because like you can listen to whatever you want to listen to. No one's saying you can't, but it's that regulation, because as soon as you're not conscious, that's when, like I'm saying, every day radio, every day this album, every day my Spotify playlist that I play 24/7, because I'm afraid to listen to my own voice, because I'm just constant. But yeah, quote what Ali likes to say, that dopamine button, it's kind of just, you just love to get consumed by it. You're eating too much and you'll become what you eat eventually. So, but if you're conscious about it, then go ahead, you can listen to whatever you want to listen to, but as long as you're conscious, because as soon as you're conscious, you can regulate. So then you can go, hang on, I've listened to this song 6 times in a row, and I know it's a depressing song, so let's listen to something else. Or let's just shut it off. Otherwise, you're going to sit there 20 times, 40 times, 50 times, and you'll listen to the same depressing song over and over and over. And you might not notice a change, but I'm sure people around you would notice a change, because you're resonating with that emotion.
Just to cut you off, sorry.
No, go.
Just because it just made me remember, because I have a Spotify playlist. You already know about it. It's called Sad Boy Hours, and I love that playlist. It's like one of my favorite playlists. And I found that when I first created it, I was just smashing that playlist. I was just like,
Sad Boy Hours.
I was like, dopamine, give me the sad feels. And I wasn't even aware of it, and I was just kind of going on in my day-to-day life, and I got to a point where I was just like, yo, why do I just feel so down?
Why am I so sad? My playlist, Sad Boy Hours.
I was like, why do I feel so down? I was like, I don't even know what's happening to me. Like, I feel fine. Like, life is good. But for some reason, I feel so down. And I was like, holy shit, it must be like all this music that I'm consuming. So I kind of changed it up. But it's like that consciousness, because I literally didn't realize for a whole couple of days, because I was like, yo, this playlist is fire.
So good.
Like,
these are my favorite songs.
So good. But I just caught myself in the feels too much. It's ridiculous, because it legitimately impacted how I was at work, how I was interacting with family and friends, and how I was with my businesses and such, because I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this today, so I'll just do it another time. And just push it, and it had such a huge spiral on what's the thing that we talk about again, the initial thing, and then
orders of consequences.
Orders of consequences, and the consequence of me kind of falling behind on everything I needed to do.
All stemmed from making Sad Boy Hours. And Sad Boy Hours, what's the first order of consequence? It gives you that hit. You go, man, this reminds me of so many memories. These are my favorite sad songs. This is sweet to drive to. I love listening to this. These are some of my favorite tracks ever. Sweet, I love it. The other order of consequence, your friends get around it. Andrew, Sad Boy Hours is mint. Can you send me the link? And they love the playlist. But what's then the 8th consequence? Like you're saying, you're sitting at work and you should be doing something, but the song's still playing in your head, and you're just like, I just want to like either go to bed or drive, or
I just
like
want to go for a drive and just kind of like mellow out.
Yeah, because there's certainly no energetic. But if you have a different playlist, right? If you then like start your playlist, right, and whatever is opposite Sad Boy Hours, it's hot, like Crazy Boy Hours, Happy Boy Hours. You start playing a different song, right, and all of a sudden you start hearing like dun dun dun, Eminem Lose Yourself starts playing, and you start like going, getting really like energetic, like, oh wow, I'm about to like crush this out, or like you get like NF No Options or something, and you start going, oh wow, like, all right, these songs are talking about kind of getting out there, getting very high energy, and doing something, kind of really moving the needle in your life, kind of no excuses, just kind of really diving in there and getting your hands dirty. Then that will have a different impact on you. But like you're saying, you don't know until you're conscious about it. And they could be your favorite songs, and no doubt they are. Like I have so many great songs that are emotional, that are sad and all that, and I do play them regularly, but it's about going, well, hang on, like, where is that balance? And you can't kind of just get stuck.
Like, where does it actually really sit on my life? And to sum it up in my head, really, is you really are what you consume. Yeah. Whether, like we've been saying, music is a huge one, because everyone loves music. Music's been around for so long. Yeah. Like, inner circle, outer circle, I feel like that's also huge as well. Yeah. And it kind of leads to, what was it, like a couple of hours ago where we filmed the other one. You need to be your own critic in what you do, and you need to be conscious about the outside noise that is coming in, whether that's through music or through all the different revenues, or kind of like, and all those streams, through those streams, or else you're going to spiral into such a negative world in your head that you will need to dig yourself out of, and it's going to take longer to dig yourself out of than it's going to take you longer to dig yourself out of than when you were conscious about it from the start.
At the very start, and you're talking your people, right? Like you're saying, we like to use music because music's so universal, but same deal. If day in, day out, like you're saying, you said it right, like the voices in the head, blah blah blah. So if they are just yapping about what you can't be, what you shouldn't be, kind of where society is, and kind of all of that stuff, in whatever lane, like you're saying, whatever stream it is, then it is 1,000 times harder, like you're saying, to dig yourself out. But if you can put a pause on it at the very start, if you can, like I'm saying, if you don't always turn on the radio, sometimes you just drive in silence. If you don't always listen to Sad Boy Hours, you make the reverse playlist and try and kind of balance it a bit more. If you don't always listen to what your friends are saying, and you're focusing on yourself more, then you have that running start, because it's so hard to dig yourself out of that habit. Even it's so hard to dig yourself out of what you're used to, because if you are what you eat, you also will get addicted to what you're eating. You'll get addicted to what you're consuming, and if you're getting addicted to that soundtrack, if you're getting addicted to just really sitting back and like I'm saying, consuming it from there, what you do is you watch 2 hours of YouTube when you get home. That's a ritual. You always watch old mates' YouTube channel, you always listen to this soundtrack, you always do that. It ends up becoming that habit, and you don't realize that, because like we're saying, it's orders of consequence. You're thinking, I can chill out, I'm stressed out, so I'm going to watch my favorite YouTube channel. Cool, that makes you you hit that dopamine button, that makes you feel a certain way in the present, but what's that next consequence? Well, you don't know, right? Because you're not being conscious. You're not actually asking these questions. All you're doing is operating in a certain you're operating in a certain lifestyle, which is right now, and that's great. Like we like to talk about living in the present. Like, sure, that's great, but you're not being conscious of that consequence. You're not being conscious of what you are eating. And similar to when you're eating junk food, similar to when you're not checking your diet, you're going to feel great smashing pizza.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and you're going to be great, hitting up whatever is your favorite fast food. But is it a day? Is it a week? Is it a month? like, when do you actually start putting weight on? When do you actually start clogging your insides? When do you actually start having that detriment effect on your health? well, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be a year. It's different for everyone, right? But it is happening, and it could be faster or slower for people, but it is happening. And unless you're conscious and unless you're regulating it, then sooner or later you'll get to the point where sad boy hours is all you listen to.
Like, find your inner peace or find your inner consciousness, and nothing can impact you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Prometheus Podcast, where we aim to bring the fire back to the people.